Today we are here. Today we are going to learn what is meant by single pass and multi pass. So firstly, let's go through the what are the points that we are going to cover in this topic. So first is what is single pass. You guys may be aware of what is meant by single pass. What are the components of the single pass? Advantages of the single pass. What is multi pass? Then, what are the components of the multipass? Why multipass is necessary? And advantages and disadvantages of the multipass. So, let's see what is meant by the compiler pass. So, basically, compiler pass is the traversal of the compiler throughout the program. When we run the program, you may see in C language or in Java, when we run the program, we goes to the terminal or the compiler. So compiler pass is particularly refers uh, to the traversal of the compiler through the program. So there are basically two types of the compiler pass, that is single pass and multipass. Multipass is also called as the two pass compiler. So let's see what is meant by single pass. So single pass a source code go through the different stages during the compilation. A single pass compiler passes the code into these steps in a single pass. In other words, it translates each part of the source code in the final required machine code. So the source code is directly translated into the machine code without storing intermediate representation like abstract syntax trees or intermediate code. So the diagram below shows how the single pass compiler works. Actually, it goes from the source code to direct its compilers and the target code. Here, the compiler compiles all the phases of the single pass in a one take. So here is the basic diagram of the single pass. Here we can see the high level language, that is our programming language. We go through all these phases, but in single pass all these phases are executed in a single module. No, and then we convert it into the level language, that is the machine language or the target code. That is from source code to target code. All these phases are covered in a single pass. So let's see what is the working of the single pass. The compiler reads the source code, perform lexical analysis, that is tokenization, then syntax analysis, that is parsing, and code generation. As we see in the figure earlier, the single all in the single sequential pass. In this, the first compiler scans the source code during the lexical analysis and divides into similar tokens. Then, with the help of parsetree, it performs syntax analysis, verifying the code with the programming language. Finally, it generates the machine code. The three main steps are lexical analysis, syntax analysis, and code generation. There is no code optimization or intermediate code generation. The example of the programming languages related to the single pass compilers are Pascal, C, and Fortran. So you must have used the C language as it is the basic language of the programming, and you may have seen that when we run the program, we directly get the compiler error, or if it has error, and or it executes directly. So that is the working of the single pass. It executes all the points, all the program in a single way. So let's see the advantages and disadvantages of the single pass. As there are some advantages of the single pass, there are also the disadvantages of the single pass. So let's see the advantages. So first advantage is it is faster for smaller programs and embedded system in case of the small code size and critical time compilation. It requires less memory. It can generate the machine code faster than another type. Disadvantages: it cannot perform complex optimization techniques as we need to perform multi-passes for optimization. There is no intermediate code generation. It is the main disadvantage of the single pass, that is, it cannot generate the intermediate code. And to avoid this type of the disadvantage, we comes across the multi-pass compiler. So let's move ahead. Multi-pass compiler. What is exactly mean by the multi-pass compiler? So the multi-pass compiler is the compiler that makes the source code go through several passes during the compilation process. It converts the source code program into one or more intermediate code in the steps between the source code and the machine code. It reprocesses the entire program in each succeeding pass. Here we can see the source program into one, or it converts the source program into one or more intermediate codes in the steps between source code and machine code. It is the main advantage of the multipass compiler, and we have overcome and which we are facing as a problem in the single pass compiler. So this is the basic diagram of the multi-pass compiler. Here source code, then the front end. What is exactly the front end requires? The analytic part, then platform independent. It is a actually platform independent. Then middle end is the it is a connector between front end and back end. Then in back end we include synthesis part and platform dependent, and then we go to the machine code. If we have errors, we can go to the error or the IR. So here we can see the first pass and second pass. Here actually in first pass, in the figure earlier we see the front end. So in front end we refer this analytical lexical analyzer, syntax analyzer, semantic and intermediate code generator are the parts of the first pass, which is the front end, and the code optimization, code generation are the part of this second pass, which is back end. The working of the multipass. Each pass takes the results of the previous pass as the input and creates the intermediate code optimized output. Likewise, the code improves in each pass until the final pass generates the required code. A multipass compiler performs additional tasks such as intermediate code generation, machine-dependent code optimization, and machine-independent code optimization. So, if we want to design a compiler for different programming languages for the same machine, in this case, for each programming language, there is a requirement to make the front end and for each of them and only one backend, that is machine dependent machine independent code optimization. And if we want to design a compiler for the same programming language for a different machine systems, in this case we make different backend for a different machines, that is machine dependent code optimization is done in the multipass. So examples of the multipass that in programming languages are Java, C++, and Lisp. In Java, we can see that we have to compile the program and we go through the multiple passes in it. So it is the one of the best example of the multipass. Advantages and disadvantages of the multipass. Let's see the advantages of the multipass. What are the exact advantages? uh, it is a machine independent as multiple passes include modular structure and code generation is separate from other steps. The passes can be reused for different machines. It works well with the complex programming languages like Java, C++. It generates better code than the single pass compiler as they perform more optimization through the multiple passes. Disadvantages: it requires more memory and processing power as it goes through multiple passes over the source code and intermediate optimized code. It also increases the compilation time. Now, you may have the doubt that what is the exact difference of the uh, multi-pass and single pass. So, see, both passes are the crucial. If we want to choose the single pass or the multi-pass, it depends on the specific requirement of the user. The single pass compilers are faster and more compact for the smaller programs. If we have the small program, then we can go through the single pass compiler. But it has the limitations in optimization and grammar complexity. And, and in the case of multi-pass compilers, they offer greater flexibility for different programming language. Yes, it may take the time for the execution, but it is a great way for flexibility for various language programming languages. So it is the basic difference between single pass and multi-pass compiler. Hope you guys uh, enjoy this video and you may get the basic information about the what is exactly a single pass and multi-pass. So thank you very much. Please like, share and subscribe.